Hi everyone, welcome to G9ija TV on our episode 3. Today we'll be talking about some of the things that have been happening in Nigeria um, in regards to some of the subsidy, the challenges that we've been having with subsidy and some other events that's been taking place. Now, one thing that I just want to actually mention is that there seems to be some confusion in regards to how much, exactly what to really do about the currency itself. This is one of the major factors that Nigeria is actually dealing with right now. For one thing I've actually found out that prevalent, I think one of the major challenges is sticking to a workable policy. On one hand, we're actually getting this news about how um, there's been palliative that's been handed out. I'm thinking, hang on, when was there a palliative like that? Palliative to do what? To cushion the effect of subsidy removal. And that is actually on one hand. Then secondly, we're not dealing with the other issues as well of the devaluation of the naira. Now, the interesting thing about that is that people are literally having, people are literally having, um, having a hard time, in believing that there seems to be something done. Like we said on other episodes of G9ija News Review, there have been, people are paying like about 2 times, 3 times the amount, for transportation. And we know that this is going to have a knock-on effect on the cost of living, food, bills and every other thing, as it is. Most people seems to believe, there seems to be this consensus across board that definite, um, the this indeed needed to be removed. Definitely, the subsidy needs to be removed. But right now, we're now having this thing about, where on one hand we are being told, oh, it's not been done yet. Oh, it's been done. Now, my understanding is that the Nigerian Labour Congress, the NLC, is now planning. Is now actually planning to do what? They are actually, you know, they're actually planning on going on strike. Initially, they said we're not doing any strike now. Then all of a sudden, the NLC is now decided that they're going to have a strike. I just think that we actually need to, get our acts together in regards to this, and that is not what we are actually saying right now. The Nigerian Labour Congress needs to actually show leadership in trying to pressure the government, not in stopping the subsidy, or maybe they can slow it down. So because right now, depending on what we actually believe, that it's actually being carried out. If it's not being carried out, so we need to now find out, okay, what needs to be done, because this is something I think it should be the priority of President Tinubu. This is definitely going to be something that needs to be done. Heads on, I think it's a major priority, because for the country to be paying, it's ludicrous for the country to be paying 400 billion, which is roughly, I'm told, about $10 billion every month. That is obscene. That is actually crazy. You know, that is as far as I'm actually concerned. That is not something that we should just actually take at. We shouldn't just sit down and just say, "Oh well, things are happening. Let's just continue what we're actually doing." It's just something that needs to be dealt with. We have to deal with this, regardless of how we want to do it. But my fear, basically, is my own personal fear is, you know, once, okay, say we're able to navigate this successfully. So where does the money go to? Because what has happened in time past, where money have been gotten from, I think, one sector of the country, the government is able to save some money. We've, you know, we've been wondering, do we really see the impact? I just think that the government doesn't really carry the people along to say, okay, look, say the Abacha stolen money. um, this is say 20 or maybe 10 billion. This is how we have spent it. We are just told, oh, it has been collected and they've been given it for instance, kind of very wishy-washy way that, doesn't convince anybody that this thing has been spent properly. Or it has been at the same time, like it usually happen, into the dark hole, which does not see the day of light. So I think what we'd like to say is that, okay, if we're saving this X amount of money, this 400 billion, what is it going to be? This is monthly, mind you, monthly going forward. So it's something that definitely needs to actually be dealt with. So it's for the good of the country, like the vice president has said. Either we deal with it, or the situation will deal with Nigeria. And I think nobody should not be under any doubt that this needs to be done. That this actually needs to be tackled. Then we're now having this other issue as well. In terms of who to actually put in the new cabinet. I think the president should be very, very careful in his selection. Obviously, there's going to be political appointees. People who are loyal. But I think at the same time they should try and look across board, maybe beyond politics. Maybe I'm being naive. It's like I can understand if somebody has been with you all this while and everything, but therein lies, this is where leadership is seen. If a member of the opposition party is deemed to have the skills, the skill set, the ability, to be able to do things at such a time as this, maybe in some position, maybe it's in education. We don't want to do what happened under President Buhari, where the Minister for Education, he said it himself that he does not know anything about education. So he has to, to rise up, and get into that. So I think that's quite profound. How do you put somebody who doesn't have any clue about education, put them over a nation like Nigeria? That is just, that is way too much. That is just way too much. How do you do that? And second, I think they were quite, you can tell that is pure political appointee. There are several people like that. Unfortunately, these people, some have been said, have actually said that this is where it's being said that the president is actually, being tribal in some instances. Even though he tries to actually demonstrate that, he's a detribalized Nigerians and thing. Unfortunately, events, surrounding the issue of how he's dealt with his own people. When I say his own people, they're Nigerians anyway. But, where it has been unfair, say for instance as well, say the lopsidedness in federal appointments. There is a lopsidedness, in it. We know that for a country like Nigeria, you need to have equity and balance. Look at the service chiefs under former President Buhari. It was just lopsided. It was just purely, mostly Northerners. Should it be like that? Absolutely not. It shouldn't be like that. It should not have actually been like that. How do we foster the spirit of oneness, the spirit of one Nigeria? How do we actually foster that? It's almost impossible to be able to say that we're one nation when, when you look at how some of the appointments that we've had, in time past, how do we deal with that? How do you convince anybody? And we are at a place in Nigeria right now where things are extremely, extremely, very, very sensitive, very, very sensitive. So it's just not something that we need to look at. Then the other news as well is that the president, President Tinubu, has said he has given a directive to to the services in regards to oil theft. It was said that that during his maiden of official meeting with service chief, intelligence heads, led by the chief of defense staff, Lucky Araye, at the presidential villa, President Tinubu directed service chiefs and head of security intelligence to crush perpetrators of all theft, saying that his administration will not tolerate the menace. So he said under his watch, insecurity will not bring Nigeria to his knee. So I think it's well, I can't fault him with that. How he actually having to say that. But I think this has to actually go beyond just rhetorics, about just saying we're going to deal with them. We're going. I think what we just need is to, for me personally, if you ask me, I would say the first thing the president needs to do is work on the heart and mind to foster a trust in the government. To be this present administration must be seen to be doing things that needs to be done. It must be seen that they are serious about tackling corruption. In fact, the apart aside from subsidy, if this administration can interestingly decide that we want to fight corruption as a cornerstone, wow. Because look, you can only fight corruption for a nation that is in existence. Corruption is an existential threat for Nigeria. It is. It is threatening our union, and is actually threatening every aspect of the nation itself. No matter what policy, what good policy is in place that the government wants to implement, if there is corruption, it's not going to work. Okay, let me just put it this way: when we are, say for instance, okay, this idea of this the subsidy removal will be saving about 400 billion. Okay, now because of corruption, there is no confidence that 400 billion is going to be used for. The government will have it in mind that yes, they will have policy in place, structures, projects, and things they can invest the money on. But take for instance, said to further invest in, say, telecommunication. Technology is growing at an alarming rate, rapidly, and that is just how it is. But for Nigeria to be prepared, for us to be competitive, the structures that undergirds, these key technological development needs to actually have solid infrastructures in place. When we don't have them in place, we are playing government. We're just playing government. That is just what it is. If that investment is not in place, how the money will be there to do it. You bring private sector, but because of corruption, it's not going to work. Corruption does negate it, because then what usually happens? Substandard stuff will be put in place. I mean, look at it. Even now, when we make calls on our phones, we get cut off. The internet is dropping. There are times I actually do conference calls, on Zoom, and it's dropping off. The quality is really bad. Okay, look at light. How can organizations actually survive in this sort of thing? How will they survive? When they're spending most of their profits, okay, most of their net returns that they're getting financially is spent in buying petrol, diesel. And when the cost of electricity is just, astronomical, hello, how on earth is that a conducive atmosphere for any business to thrive in? So I think we definitely need to actually look at what is really happening. We need to actually tackle corruption. Corruption, the fight against corruption is the major. And when we are talking about corruption, we are now talking about the heart of the nation. That is the national psyche. There's no sector of the country that is not affected, or that this cancer has not affected. The entire national the entire structures, whether governmental, in every way, communities, businesses, just name it, everything, corruption has entered it. In some of the areas, you can see where they are trying to buy, even local government, they are not exempted from it. Corruption is endemic there. Corruption is a pandemic in our nation, Nigeria. Look, there are nations across the world that have this issue as well, but Nigeria is set apart. Nigeria is set apart, and we need to work. There's nothing, when I look at some of the things we're trying to do, even in security, if you look at it right, what is the point? It's just like the Chinese wall when it was built. There was security. They had the Chinese wall built and everything, but the barbarians did not break through those walls. The security, they didn't. It was what happened. It was corruption that gave them access. They just simply bribed their way in. We don't need to break the wall. They can spend hundreds of years building their Chinese wall. That is what is happening in Nigeria. We can sit down, strategize, plan things, borrow money from China, do all sort of money for infrastructural development from US, whatever. But if corruption is not dealt with, it's nothing. If we're talking about our indiscipline, that is part of the issue. The indiscipline. What's the point in in investing in state of the art? Should I say cameras, state of the art traffic lights when we don't obey those traffic lights? If it's red there are many times I will be driving that, but I'll be driving along and somebody will be like, the light is red, and then you see people honking behind you, move now, which means they're asking you to go through the red light. Then those same set of people will sit somewhere with their friends and start blabbing, Nigeria is bad, we want to japa. It might as well japa now, just get out of the country. And let those that really want to obey the rules and make things up, because there are rules of engagement for society, for a nation to coexist and to work successfully. There are rules. But the moment we have some people who believe that, we are special, you are in a queue, somebody comes in, then you see security carrying guns, bypass straight into. Isn't that what the stuff that gangsters do? No, Oga, I better clear. So Oga is coming in. Oga is there. Let them go into the front. Then every Nigeria sees that picture. So that's built into our national psyche that to be successful, in our country, you just have to just circumvent the rules. You are special. We are not like those other ordinary mortals. We are different breed. We are special alien breed from is it planet Pluto or planet Delusion? If we don't begin to tackle these things, that is why go down to the local areas. You see the roads, areas that have had beautiful roads and things in place before. It is so sad when they are even trying to fix those roads. You see that they have splitted the money by the way they are trying to fix the road. You can tell that it's just patchy, so that they can say at least we've done something. Especially when we're just about to have an election. That's why you see some wishy-washy projects. They're not trying to attend to. They will park all the trucks and things that they will use to fixing the road, just to give an impression. See, we are working. That's when they now begin to share a bag of rice. Well, so I think that's just that in a nutshell itself. So talking about giving instructions and all that. Even some of the securities themselves, they are bribed. So what are they going to do? They are bribed now. But once they bribe those ones there now, some of them, please, I'm not making impression that is how everyone is. No. But there will be unscrupulous ones who can be bought. Unfortunately. So if we don't deal with this, so I'm adding to what the vice president said, it will deal with our enemy. So I won't say it is us like that. So let's move to entertainment. There is this post about Wizkid that leave fans in fear after Wizkid is said to have posted a scary post. Afrobeat sensation Araye Ibrahim Balogun alias Wizkid has caused a stir online after sharing a cryptic message on the concept of tomorrow and the endless pursuit of it by humanity. Taking to his Instagram story, the singer penned thought-provoking note that appears to reflect a sudden realization about the nature of life. Through a serious post on his Instagram, Wizkid wrote, "Wait, never mind tomorrow, no day. All of us come together, define tomorrow. Actually mind. Now so our dreams will." The crooner also shared a response from one of his fans who affirmed his perception on the notion of tomorrow and what lies beyond the present. We later find out, make I know if I go stop also today. Wizkid acknowledged the response with the caption, "Omo, no be only me, they mad for Yahoo." There was another thing I saw, I think that was yesterday, in regards to he prefers to be home. I think Wizkid is really growing up now. He's maturing now. And he said he would rather be home, with his son, just chilling. That sometimes in a lounge, somebody comes and spill drink on him, and he's thinking, what the heck am I doing here? Why am I not even at home, just enjoying myself? He's got the money, he's got the wealth, he's got the talent. So the man now wants to now chill, just to take time out, just enjoy his life. So I think he's at a crossroad right now where the things that matters to him are changing. So where he would rather just be, well, unfortunately, most of us have found that out in life, that sometimes you just want to chill, sometimes you want to go out. But as you matured, so it's not just about, there's a time in life, where you just want to be out there partying, doing things, enjoying the life God has given you. So, but the time will come when something is sort of introspection. It's sort of self-reflection, really, where you actually look at yourself and you're thinking, is this all there is to life? Drive a nice car, have a beautiful house, have a beautiful wife, have beautiful children, money in the bank. Then you have 24 hours in the day. Then tomorrow comes, because like you're saying, tomorrow comes. So, I'm looking at this and looking at that other post. I think he's at the point whereby he's beginning to sort of reflect, which is a good thing, really. It's a good thing. So now, going forward, he's going to be looking at what really matters to him, not just out there. You can't just imagine. For instance, we have Burna Boy keeps all 2023 by sitting on top of the world. Other people will come. The time will come, all of that. Then what will happen? All the superstars of yesterday, where are they today? And I think it's the kind of thing that we need to, as Nigerians, that humanity always think about this. What about, it's a continuous thing. Others will come long after we've left the stage. Others will come, then life will continue. So what do you want to do? So do you just want to keep partying 24/7 saying, we are here for life? No, it doesn't work like that. So it's just it's just something that is not just it's not feasible. So good luck to him. I wish a baby to resolve that inner is it a conflict? It's not a conflict. It's just the man is reflecting, like I said, is realizing, he's seeing some realities of life, in pursuit of wealth, in pursuit of happiness. Now he's seeing that he has got the wealth, so he's now I think he's beginning to realize that all is not, it's not just about partying. So, NNPC decision to increase pump price of petrol is illegal, says Falana, the human rights lawyer, the famous human rights lawyer. This is a man that fights, takes on cases, fighting for people. I dove my heart for him. Salute, sir. Femi Falana has described the decision of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to increase pump price of petroleum. He was speaking on the sideline of a meeting of the Nigerian Labour Congress. He said has that NNPC, as a limited liability company, does not have any legal power to jack up the price of petroleum. He urged the federal government to go back to the drawing board with a view to finding alternative solutions to the problem. One of which he says includes the need to address the dollarization of the Nigerian economy, which is true. I think that's one of the there seems to be this trend at the moment where the world is de-dollarizing, which means that they're not using dollars. Most of the world have been using the dollars in parallel with their national currency. Because America has now been weaponizing, the dollars through sanctions. So most country, if you are using dollar as a parallel currency with your local currency, you'll be in trouble. So that means that the Americans can, because you now have reserve in dollars and they owns the dollars, so they can basically just press a switch. Like I understand Uber does now. If you do business with them, in regards to leasing cars from a company called Motive, so if you don't make your payment, you just press the switch and switch off the engine. You can't drive the car until you sort out there. So a lot of people are finding, on the parallel, stuff like this is beginning to happen, through the weaponization, through sanction, when they can sanction a country and say, you're not going to be able to do this and that, economically. But because you're dependent on the dollar, so they have it by the, should I use the word, by the balls. So the emerging economies, emerging powers are now beginning to say no, that, Russia is doing it, China is doing it, Saudi Arabia is doing it, Brazil, and, host of other countries. I think India too is doing it. So the hegemony that America used to have is changing. So it's no longer business as usual. So those things are happening now, and we're now finding out that, in order for you to be able to escape the weaponization threats, from the from the US. So it's better to either you use your own currency now, or you come up with some other currency, which is actually happening. So the human rights lawyer has already said that, Femi Falana has already said we should, spoke to the president that they should try and find a solution to this. That it's not just merely about, the NNPCL cannot just unilaterally just decide that, okay, this is how much we will do it. There's a lot of confusion around that. So, because if we are running capitalism, that's what it is. So where we have this kind of economy, where this is how it works. Anybody can come up. If you want to sell your petrol for 1,000, for 2,000, 10,000 self per liter. If people say they want to buy, no problem. So as long as it's not done in such a way that it sabotages the economy of the nation, then they have a right to do it. That's my belief anyway. So it's just quite important that we actually keep that in mind, because we're not a socialist. We don't practice socialism. Maybe in some factions we do, because the government seems to want to control everything, And my understanding is that neighboring economy are complaining. The Benin Republic, citizens bemoaned fuel subsidy removers. Nigeria, citizens of Benin Republic, and right now taking to the streets of Twitter to bemoan the removal of subsidy in Nigeria, with some open for the removal of President Tinubu. That means it was benefiting them, as long as we are paying for this in itself. So because the moment we remove subsidy, I think the knock-on effect will be that the petrol for them, basically, it actually goes up as well. So it affects them. So, and as far as they're concerned, so the Nigerian economy does impact their economy, So let's just see how this whole thing is. Early days yet. I think lastly, it's about the news about the former President Buhari, the interior of his house. Nigerians have. I saw the video of the living room of President Muhammadu Buhari, his house in Daura, Katsina State. So they said the Buhari and his family moved into the house following the end of his tenure as president. The video showed by asking questions about the air condition in the apartment. Some Nigerians said the house wasn't befitting for a former president. This is the thing. I just don't somebody. I'm just seeing some of this thing on our website, G9ija.com. Somebody said Muhammad Buhari is a good leader. Well, I don't say it's not a good leader, but there were just several instances of things that he did that sometimes I'm thinking, is he the president of the North? There was such a high hope for President Buhari, but unfortunately, sometimes it's quite easy to criticize somebody unfairly when you have not been in that position. Okay. Yes, he has Southerners, Southwest, South people, Southeast, Southwest, all over the South. Basically, had them working for him as well. But unfortunately, it's often been said that there are cabals, who that everything that President Buhari was trying to do, that they were just, sort of sabotaging all his efforts. How far that is true, I don't know. But it's happened and it's happened, it's gone, it's history. So should it matter? Maybe that's the way he wants it. So I don't think it's something. He has a wife, and I'm sure when they're setting those things up, maybe that is, he like that kind of stoic kind of lifestyle, because they would have known that that place was being prepared for him, from how the whole thing was coming in. So I don't know, So it's done. It's done. His tenure is over. If he wants to live like in a one room, so befitting of a former president, maybe when you compare it to the apartment that President Babangida, if you see that one is a palace, So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to show it, to show how humble or anything is. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's anybody's business. His place is not a museum. It's not a museum, and it's not a showpiece. If the man is happy there, he seems quite happy, and he seems quite happy to get out and leave the state of affairs to other people. So anyway, well, thanks a lot, everyone. Just want to say it's been a pleasure, and from me again, Tunde Mike Daniel. So just want to say thank you very much, and see you again tomorrow. Thank you.